This video is going to have absolutely no Endwalker spoilers in it out of respect for those still having a hard time to compete with their queues. Now, a lot of you have barely even started out the Endwalker story, and so don't worry, you're going to be safe here. In fact, I'm going to already say out of the get-go, this is going to be a loop of one of my many E12S clears on Scholar. Don't worry, no Endwalker stuff here. I can't even actually log in to even play my Scholar right now because I'm currently sitting in a queue. My god, this has been like 3 hours. I'm still at like 1.7 thousand. But yeah, the point is, you guys are safe here. But wow, okay, getting into the meat of the video. Wow, guys, Scholar, oh boy. With Scholar at level 90, I finally feel comfortable talking about it and my feelings on it because, wow, I have a lot of them. As you can probably tell from the tone in my voice, in spite of the queue, I am still so fucking excited about Scholar. Like, this feels so good. This is pretty much every change I want, but sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, I've got Scholar to 90, Sage to 90. I also have dabbled a little bit in White Mage. It's not 90 yet though. I mean, with the queues, guys, I'm doing as best as I can. But I feel like I do finally have a good frame of reference for what's the healings going on in the game so far. Average rates might change my opinion somewhat, but I'm pretty confident with the toolkit now, both in theory and practice. So what are my thoughts on it? Really quickly packaged together. Endwalker Scholar is strong, tremendously super strong. Anyone claiming otherwise, simply, with all due respect, I struggle to believe has spent the time or effort to try and learn it in earnest. It is as close to ideal or perfect as I could have hoped the Scholar could be turned into an Endwalker. In fact, it blows me away how good the changes actually feel. And I am not exaggerating when I say that. It is literally blown me away. Let's get barriers out of the way first, because oh boy, they have changed quite a lot for the Scholar. Shields that the Scholar can create have been raised from a 125% conversion for both the AoE and the single target to 180% conversion for Adlo. So that's the single target one, just in case people are newer to Scholar. And then for Sucker, we have that 125 conversion rate bumped up to 160%. From a numerical standpoint, this means Adlo is now a 540 potency barrier and a 300 potency heal underneath for a total whopping slap of 840 potency of HPS. Looking at the AoE Sucker, we are now looking at 200 health recovery and then a 320 potency barrier for a 520 slap of AoE HPS in total, which is pretty darn good if you consider everything. Meaning that you have essentially taken the skill Emergency Tactics that transforms your shields into heals and have turned it into being an obscenely powerful heal on a short 15-second cooldown, which I do have to say looks better than ever to actually cast a GCD. Really, it does finally look really good. I mean, obviously you want to avoid it, but now you're getting a much stronger impact for that. Deployment Tactics, which is what we use to spread our single target barrier, which, as we just talked about, was just buffed its conversion rate to have a 548 potency barrier on its own. That is now buffed further since it can be deployed every 90 seconds. So you have the shield itself buffed, you have Deployment Tactics cooldown buffed to now only be 90 seconds. This is a very powerful combo. Barrier capabilities on the Scholar are undeniably high. The 1.5 second cast time on Broil was, in my opinion, revolutionary. Opening up the weave window in earnest pretty much broke open the floodgate to allow the Scholar to use its tremendously large set of off GCD abilities without problem. If nothing else, the Scholar is really packed full of off GCD abilities. Always has been, and now you can use them without that penalty of Ruin 2 weaving. And if I said this felt good, that would be an understatement. Ruin 2 weaving is largely not a factor anymore in Endwalker. You really don't need to do that much. And it is a very welcome change for me. Playing it myself, it was way better than I could have imagined. Now to the counterpoint. While yes, you could argue that it is still spamming Broil, 100%, I'm on the same page with you. This change alone significantly improved how spamming, I caught my tongue there, how spamming Broil feels. It no longer feels as burdensome. Yes, you're still doing it, but now you can move while using it. You can, like, staggering larger movements into piecemeal smaller chunks. You can use one OGCD between each Broil to, say, summon Seraph, Broil, and then use Constellation. Very much feels better. That's not even mentioning energy drain spam truly does feel better than ever now. It is a, how to say it? A very obvious and very clear DPS increase. Ruin 2 weaving one energy drain proc didn't feel great. Not to mention the cooldown of energy drain on its own used to be 3 seconds cooldown. It felt miserable in my opinion. Yes, you could use it, and this was one of the biggest proponents for using energy drain is, yes, you could weave it with another off GCD that you needed to use, like Whispering Dawn, So you'd use Rune 2, Whispering Dawn, and then you'd use Energy Drain as a damage recovery system because you lost so much potency of damage with Rune 2 versus Broil. So in a way, in my mind at least, how I thought about it for years now, was it was a way to make up for lost damage because I needed to use some other off GCD ability. Like, I needed to make that trade-off. Rather than right now in Endwalker, it's a very clear, very obvious increase. You're adding 100 potency of damage. So to say the least, Broil 1.5 second cast time does so much for me. It just feels so much better. To mention, like, snappier. Everything actually in Endwalker's feeling snappier. I don't know if they optimized something, but like even I was on Bard, I was on Machinist, I'm like, ooh, this feels snappier, more responsive, everything does. So now, just because we just spoke about Energy Drain Weaving, I need to say that I feel a little conflicted on it. It has lost its MP recovery, which honestly is slightly concerning to me. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm like, wait a second. But we do need to wait to see the full ramifications and extent of that. More piety might be on the menu. I don't know what else to say, it might be on the menu. The obvious fact, though, is it's still 100 potency of damage, though, so it's not really great damage. I suppose that's obvious to everyone, but in the case of the Scholar, I will still retain my position that I've stated before, that it is nice to have a damaging spender, but I almost always will find myself erring on the side of spending them on abilities like Excog or Sacred Soil over a trivial 100 potency boost, usually. But, and especially in easier content like dungeon grinding, I've noticed that I have tons of stack left over before Aetherflow comes off of cooldown, and so having a way to spend them feels good. Like, I've noticed myself not using nearly enough Addersgull, the Aetherflow equivalent, on Sage enough, and then my MP kind of gets wasted. I need to get better on that. I mean, I've just because of the queues, I really don't even want to say I've played a week, so it'll take more time to get used to that on the Sage. But on the Scholar, it's very clear when to spend, when you're gonna get more. I've been used to that for years. But on that note, Energy Drain's cooldown reduced to 1 second allows it to be weaved with intensely more ease. Like, intensely simplifying if you want to dump Aetherflow to a consistent Broil Energy Drain, Drain Weave. There's no more 3-second jankiness, which made the openers really difficult. I don't want to say difficult, but it was less mathematically pleasing. I'll just show you my rotation building tool from my website, fx.gg. As you can see, when I was theory crafting the opener, it was a little bit more janky because of 3 seconds. It's a lot cleaner now. Let's talk about the fairy. And how to say it. To say that the fairy is snappier is an understatement. Far more than I expected going into the game, if I'm blunt. Trying it myself, I got like slapped across the face with how much clearly faster it was. After years of becoming accustomed to the delay, this was radical and led to me using Fey Blessing right before the AoE came out a few times, which was kind of comical. I had people going, why are you wasting your fairy abilities? And I'm like, sorry, I'm used to this. Surprising, shocking, figure word of choice. That was how I felt when I got my hands on the Scholar. The abilities proc basically instantly, and at the command that I issue, like almost instantly. And then drawing an analogy, it feels very similar to the Sage at present. I want to actually say similar because through pounding the fairy against the ground and testing this, there is still definitely a slight delay, but it is so slight. And it's usually during movement is when I notice the biggest delays, but these are very slight. Like in comparison to before, it's like 1/10 or so, but that's very feely. I don't have like any tangible data to go off if I didn't like collect old VODs and like record timers. It felt like very, very much like 10% what it was before. One delay that you will notice if you really push it, which is a very rare use case, is when you draw down Seraph and then you issue Seraph, summon Seraph, and then immediately the button changes to Constellation and hit that, you will notice that when she's first summoned that there is a delay. But that delay is something that you shouldn't even really see in normal play. Broil weaving is something you should do, so you do like summon Seraph on the OGCD, Broil, Constellation next OGCD, and in that situation I don't notice a single delay. On that note, let's talk a little bit about Fey Union, an ability that I have very much overtly criticized, and I still criticize it, and I will not stop doing that because of its limited tether range that, yes, is still an annoying problem. I say that because I've literally ran into that dungeons again and again when my tank would run out of its range, and I'm like, really? Why did you need to pull it even further away rather than stand still? Yeah, the tank moving away, incapacitating the fairy's movements and ability to heal as it just stands stands there derpy like, I'm doing Fey Union, me. The tether's broken, can you stop? It does not spark joy. But on the other hand, on the positive, with the new weave in the Broil window, the ability to compile 10 ticks of it and then even extend it thereafter, because I can choose when to spend those 10 stacks, and then you can extend it even with more Aether Flow, like say Aether Flow comes off a cooldown, you get more energy drains in there, you get more Fey gauge. It feels really good. Fey Union actually finally feels good, and I definitely can say I appreciate having the skill now. I found myself using this ability disturbingly more than I was before. In fact, I'll go so far as to say that I found myself using all fairy abilities more than I was before. Never have I really shied away from saying the power of Whispering Dawn. It is factually, when you look at the numbers of top end raiders, such a powerhouse. And in spite of the nerf, it still is feeling really, really good. Just to put that out there. Yeah, the nerf is there, but it still feels like what I was always using it for, like to slowly heal up the party. But getting back to the point is, it's less of a concern to me if I want to stop using it or not. It's just like, oh, I can just use it without worrying about reducing my damage by doing a ruin wave. And do I have an energy drain to recuperate the damage? Like, I don't need to start thinking about that crap. Also, Fey Blessing is seeing this same feeling, but only much, much more so, like tripled, quadrupled. I'm liking Fey Blessing a lot more. I was using it before, but I find myself using it much, much, much more. It has no fairy cage cost, which feels great on it. No more weave damage loss, which feels great. Again, there have been times that I've kept it off cooldown and the burden of losing my DPS is not on my brain. The fairy as a whole feels better. Now, Expedient, I'm gonna say very clearly here that I have had very, very limited time to play with it. I look forward, when the queue is finally over for me right now, to be playing a lot more with Expedient. This ability, in what I have used it for, is stunningly powerful, much as I imagined before, but trying it really feels good. This is one of those things where it's like, okay, you see it on paper, but now you actually try it, and then you're like, holy, what the fuck? Like, it feels really good. So, current content, I do want to say, I don't believe pushes mobility far, but playing with it myself, I can see that when I'm going to, like, say, if I ever go back to, like, previous content, like E12S Lions, for instance, I could see this being really, really, really nice, which is what I thought before, but now I've been trying it, I've been running around with it, it feels so good. So, really, in my mind, is if anyone had doubts about this ability's potency or its power, it is no doubt beyond powerful. Crushingly so, in fact, I will say crushingly so. 20 seconds of faster movement speed is bizarre. And with all due respect to those posing the fallacious rhetorical question of what if I somehow throw myself off of the edge if I had Expedient, I'd advise them to seriously try and walk around a city and use sprints sometimes and just, I don't know, use WASD keys and just figure out how movement works. That's not even meant to sound catty. I mean, if you're having a hard time with sprint, like, holy shit, just fucking use sprint in a city, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you. If you're worried about Expedient throwing you off, try using sprint. I don't get it. I'm just really kind of tired of people throwing out that when that kind of sort of I need to learn how to play excuse of what amounts to probably one of the strongest raid progression tools in the game. Expedient in a static where you're progging something like Dragonsong War Ultimate, which is coming up, with the same 8 people and plan for it to be used at exact moments in time, will prove itself to be extremely reliable and beyond potent. Cannot imagine this not being viewed as a positive for a progression raid. I don't know how people have poised it as being a negative, but they somehow have. I completely, however, disagree. I am not shying away from that. I completely disagree with that. Know that I'm digging my heels in at this point because trying it myself, I know this to be factually correct. Unless they make all raids trivial and not require movement, this will be strong. Absolutely in prog. Maybe not on farm, but on prog for sure. To be frank, trying this ability myself now and thinking about the potential use cases for it, it's a little early to say, but it has made it very difficult for me as someone who wants to main Sage alongside Scholar hand in hand to justify Sage at this point, but that point should probably be expanded to the fullest on its own video. Another thing is Protraction is great as well. That 10% increased healing is very noteworthy, and the 10% health padding, I can see an assisting tank buster recovery as well. The current content doesn't really push me to feel like I need this with like Adlo, Though, honestly, that makes me say that I prefer Krasis from the Sage for 20% more healing outright, which impacts their cardio. Anyhow, those are my current thoughts on the Scholar, so to say I'm impressed is an understatement. Scholar has quite literally never felt better. The Endwalker changes through the kit are something that I feel keenly, and I'm such a fan. Looking at Scholar for Dragonsong War Ultimate, honestly, it just feels that good. Let me know what you think in the video. Take care everyone, and happy Endwalker. Good luck with the keys.